Part 60. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 601. It is depressing, disgusting, and unacceptable for a wild boy from the wilderness to get the ancient crystal stone of fire source. L. If it were not for Emperor Yu to come forward, Wu Yu would not be able to get rid of the pursuit until now. Now, it is reported that he got 2 huge ancient crystal stones. Such a huge treasure fell into the hands of a person who people thought had no strength and no background, so everyone was ready to move. Finding Wu Yu means that you can get those 2 huge ancient crystal stones, and the harvest is much greater than spending time on mechanical beasts. Wu Yu can clearly feel that the sea of clouds is restless again at this time. Many people shined in order to find Wu Yu. Of course, most of them met Wu Yu's clones. Wu Yu, you should understand where you come from and what your background is. With your strength, capital, and background, you are not qualified to own these treasures. An innocent man is guilty of possessing a treasure. You will harm yourself and even kill your relatives if you are so stubborn. When they met Wu Yu's clone, they all gave earnest advice. It's true that the ancient fire crystal is in my hands, and I have already used it. As for the ancient water crystal, it's not in my hands. Even if you kill me, it's useless. Wu Yu said very straightforwardly. At the beginning, he actually wanted to expose Xiao Yili and tell everyone that she had taken the ancient water crystal. Xiao Yili would definitely argue, and then more people would naturally believe her. However, after thinking carefully, if many people knew that Xiao Yili might have the ancient water crystal, if she failed to keep it and it was taken away by others, wouldn't it be a bargain for others? He only wanted to take back the things that fell into Xiao Yili's hands, so he didn't publicize the whereabouts of the ancient crystal stone of the water source, but kept it in his heart. Of course, he had the confidence to take back what belonged to him. He was not distracted, but waited for the time to come, waiting for the sea demon to come out of the time control tower. Suddenly one day, one of his clones met Le Daizi, who was alone and probably noticed the existence of his clone, and suddenly appeared in front of Wu Yu. The clone is good, it's real. Le Daizi looked him up and down, with his hands behind his back and smiled. Everyone knows that Wu Yu's clones are all over the sea of clouds. Under such circumstances, it is almost impossible to find Wu Yu's original body. Meet Le Daizi. This is the group of people with the highest status in the entire Yamafa world. Not only are they powerful, but they are also backed by the entire Yanhuang ancient country. Of course, they cannot be offended for the time being. No matter what he thought at the beginning. It is said that the missing water source ancient crystal stone has been obtained by you. He stared into Wu Yu's eyes, as if he wanted to read the answer in Wu Yu's heart with his eyes. Before Wu Yu answered, he smiled, and said, "You used the fire source ancient crystal stone to forge your body. This ancient crystal stone has the same origin of water and fire, so there is a reason to attract each other." Wu Yu was still shocked. Le Daizi is Le Daizi, and he guessed the truth at once. However, he still said without showing his expression, "This is strange. I haven't even seen the fragments of the water source ancient crystal stone. Suddenly, the news that I got the ancient crystal stone came out. It's really incredible. Besides, the water source ancient crystal stone is of no use to me." "It's of no use to me," Yu Daizi said. He continued to stare at Wu Yu and said, "In other words, this news is that someone wants to frame you." Wu Yu said, "I guessed who it was." Yu Daizi was very interested and asked, "Who gave his name?" Wu Yu's eyes were grim, and he said word by word, "I think it was Zhang Kaijun." Yu Daizi was startled and said, "Why her?" Wu Yu said, "Maybe Yu Daizi doesn't know that after you promised to tell the geniuses of the ancient country of Yanhuang not to attack me again, there was someone who didn't take your words to heart and attacked me. This person is Zhang Kaijun. She said that I had damaged her face and wanted me to pay the price. If the emperor doesn't believe it, You can ask her. I think she is not bold enough to lie in front of the emperor. He didn't want Emperor Le to know that the ancient crystal of the water source was in Xiao Yili's hands, but he could put the blame on Zhang Kaijun. After all, she attacked him, which was true. Princess Xuanhuan, you don't even take my words to heart. How presumptuous! Emperor Le narrowed his eyes, and then said, you mean, she failed to let you pay the price, so she let you escape, so she released such news to attract people to deal with you. That's right. Wu Yu didn't know what medicine Emperor Le was selling in his gourd. However, he was just a clone now, and he was not afraid of what Emperor Le would do to him. It was really thrilling to fight wits and courage with such a person. Okay, I will find Princess Xuanhuan. By the way, since you are from Yanhuang Emperor City, you are a part of my Yanhuang ancient country. Seeing that you have good qualifications and courage, I have the responsibility to protect you. This Benwei talisman is given to you if you encounter irresistible danger. You can ask me for help. We all come from the ancient country of Yanhuang, and we are the descendants of the ancient Yanhuang. You don't need to be polite to me. He took out a tail talisman and put it in Wu Yu's hand. He took the tail talisman and left the main talisman to Wu Yu, so that Wu Yu could send a message to him. Although he didn't know what he was up to, Wu Yu still accepted it first. He thought that the emperor had also left, but he didn't know that at this time the emperor took out another talisman. It was a pitch-black talisman with dense magic circles drawn on it. The runes were very complex, and the fluctuations were terrifying and vague. There are black flames flowing between the major circles. This chapter is not finished yet. Please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. This is the Forbidden Black Fire Talisman. It is very powerful and can save your life. Take it. He actually gave himself such a precious talisman. If he hadn't known it, and this person just wanted to pry into his memory at first, he would probably have shed tears of gratitude for Emperor Kairu's kindness. However, some people have a very bad first impression, which is difficult to change, so from the beginning to the end, deep down in his heart, he was still very wary of this emperor. I want to see how far you can go on this immemorial immortal road. There are still many mysteries in this immemorial immortal road. After handing the Forbidden Black Fire Talisman to Wu Yu, Emperor Yu smiled, flew back, and soon left the side of Wu Yu's clone. Minglong, what do you think is going on with this person? The original tail talisman and the Forbidden Black Fire Talisman remained in that place for the time being. He was afraid that there was some mystery in these talismans. I don't know. But this guy has grown up in the struggle for power and the struggle between morality and law. He should not be underestimated. There is always a reason for what he does. You can probably feel that he wants to set up a situation for you, and you must leave his situation. At least these two talismans cannot be touched. Wu Yu nodded. Just let them stay with their clones. If Wu Yu himself uses this talisman, those who possess the tail talisman will be able to track his location. Minglong said, forget about the original tail talisman. If there is a danger that you can't solve by yourself and you must ask for help, then just let the clone use it. As for the Forbidden Black Fire Talisman, it is a good gift. How to say? The blue ring poison demon is a demon in the sea. What he fears most is the poisonous fire talisman, the Forbidden Black Fire Talisman. This talisman has a certain effect on it. If you add this talisman, you have the possibility of defeating the blue ring poison demon on the spot. That's huge. Of course, if the blue ring poison demon is willing to come out of the time control tower, it won't be necessary. It seems that this is risky. After all, he was still worried about the mystery contained in the Forbidden Black Fire Talisman. I have encountered this talisman many times before, and I can see it clearly. You assign a clone to bring the Forbidden Black Fire Talisman first, and forget about the tail talisman. He is now near the time control tower, waiting for the blue-ringed poison demon to come out. But if the blue-ringed poison demon doesn't come out, he might have to use the forbidden black fire talisman given by the emperor. He asked another clone to take the forbidden black fire talisman and send it to Wu Yu's body. Minglong checked it several times and said, "There is nothing wrong with this talisman. It has not been tampered with. It is just a simple attack on the talisman. If there is a mystery, it should be on that talisman. Remember not to let the talisman get close to the main body, and there will be no problem." Minglong's ability is still guaranteed, after all, she is very experienced. Wu Yu also thought about this talisman for a while, and it could be seen that it had not been tampered with. It had to be said that this talisman was extremely powerful. It seems that Prince Kairu has indeed helped me. If the blue-ringed poison demon doesn't come out, I will use this talisman to greet him first, to avoid being forced out like last time. The time came soon, and Wu Yu took back most of the clones, except for the clone holding the original talisman that remained outside. He was waiting outside the time control tower. He has been waiting for a long time to enter that door. These 10 days have been like a year. Without the blue-ringed poison demon, he might have succeeded. The door of the time control tower opened on time. Wu Yu watched from a distance. Logically speaking, if the blue-ring poison demon had not studied the door clearly, he would still come out quickly for fear of wasting time. Wu Yujing et al. After the door was opened, time passed. In fact, the time in the time control tower would be faster anyway. He felt that if the other party wanted to come out, he should have come out early. If we don't come out and no one goes in, the time control tower will be closed. Are you really not ready to come out? Wu Yu was depressed. According to his estimation, there was no need for the other party to stay inside. There is nothing we can do. He could only quickly appear in the time control tower and enter it before it closed. Once again, he appeared in the time control tower. Heaven-swallowing record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 602. The blue-ring poison demon, as expected, was not going to go out. He was still standing outside the mysterious door, studying it carefully. When Wu Yu came in, he turned his eyes and attention away from the door. "You came in again." The blue-ring poison demon turned around and saw Wu Yu standing behind him, and was immediately surprised. I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow diamondsuit. So, there is indeed a secret here, but you didn't tell me. For example, you didn't tell me that there would be 9 puppet arrays. The blue ring poison demon was naturally very dissatisfied with this. Moreover, Wu Yu broke his tentacles and ran away. What's the matter with the 9 puppets? If you don't explain it clearly this time, don't even think about going out again, the blue ring poison demon said threateningly with a gloomy face. Which puppet did you challenge? Wu Yu asked. The blue ring poison demon said, only the puppet in the scarlet magic circle can deal with it. Otherwise, who can you challenge? It turned out that he challenged the first one, but with his second level of Yuan Shen waxing realm, he must have challenged the 3 spiritual generals. At this point, the blue ring poison demon became even more angry. He gritted his teeth and said, how dare you deceive me? The time in here is no different from the outside. It's only been 10 days and you've already come in. You still told me 100 days. If you challenge the same level, the time will not change. Speaking of deception, the blue ring poison demon has become angry. In his eyes, Wu Yu has become unforgivable. If you don't tell me everything you know today, I will make you live a life worse than death. You should know how many poisonous means I have. As he said, he was about to take action, and his body changed instantly, from a human form to his demon body. A deep-sea octopus with blue rings all over its body, glowing with fluorescent light, and demonic energy soaring into the sky. In this closed space, the majestic demonic energy is enough to suffocate people. Go ahead, Wu Yu, tell me everything. He knew that Wu Yu must have a reason to come in again. Since he came in, it would be hard for him to leave. He even guessed that Wu Yu had a way to enter this mysterious door. Wu Yu had tolerated him for a long time, and this time he came in, he had no intention of letting him leave. Just when the blue ring poison demon stretched out his 8 claws and was about to use the same magical power as last time, Wu Yu acted faster than him. He stretched out his hand and pinched the black fire talisman given by Emperor Li, infused it with the purple mansion Yuan Li, and activated all the magic arrays in it. The magic array of the talisman can only be operated once. Once it is operated, it will immediately tear the talisman paper, and the power of the magic array will burst out instantly. He stretched out his hand and swung it, and the talisman turned into a ball of black flames, which quickly pounced on the blue ring poison demon. What kind of talisman is this? Just based on your talisman from Dongsheng Shenzhou. There is no doubt that the blue ring poison demon thought that Dongsheng Shenzhou was a barren place and it was impossible to produce any high-level Taoist tools or talismans. But when the black flame broke through the siege and burned on his body in an instant, he was dumbfounded. The black flame spread instantly. In just a moment, his huge body was covered by the blazing black flame. Withered black fire talisman. How could you have a talisman of this level? Impossible. The blue ring poison demon's face changed drastically, and his voice was shrill, full of shock, regret, and depression. You know a lot. Wu Yu was waiting for this moment. Under the burning of this black fire like a maggot attached to his bones, the blue ring poison demon not only couldn't get rid of it, but also couldn't stop the black fire from burning his flesh and blood. When his flesh and blood were burned, they withered like trees, instantly turned scorched and lost all their vitality. His body was rapidly withering like a plant. In a short time, at least 1/5 of it disappeared. The burnt part turned into dust at the touch. Wu Yu, you are looking for death, the blue-ringed poisonous demon screamed in the flames. Wu Yu had to say that the talisman given by Emperor Yu was really useful. If it was not necessary to restrain the blue-ringed poisonous demon now, he could keep it and challenge the puppet in the last white magic circle at level 8. By then, it is estimated that the mysterious door will be completely opened. The blue-ringed poisonous demon was still shouting in the flames. At this time, he was still resisting the black fire with his own purple mansion energy and magic. However, Wu Yu would not give him any more chances. At this time, the slightly worn Hanhai Tyrannosaurus pillar appeared in his hand. He held the Hanhai Tyrannosaurus pillar and performed the magical power of Law of Heaven and Earth. He and the Hanhai Tyrannosaurus pillar grew larger at the same time. The length between the two reached 4 times the original in a short time. At this time, Wu Yu was already a giant nearly 3 meters tall. It was equivalent to the height of a 2-story or even 3-story building in the mortal world. This was a proportional change. Except for the purple palace energy, everything else on his body changed. Especially the physical strength, without the addition of violence, it was 3 times the original. Boom! Wu Yu quickly arrived in front of the blue ring poison demon, raised the Hanhai Tyrannosaurus pillar, and smashed it into the body of the blue ring poison demon with one stick after another through the flames. His current body was still small compared to the blue ring poison demon. After all, the other party was a giant beast that dominated the vast sea, and the vast sea never lacked space for them to move. Even without using violence, his current physical strength was terrifying. Every stick he hit would make the blue ring poison demon scream. Wu Yu didn't even use any Taoist magic. Just the magical power of the Law of Heaven and Earth, as well as the explosion of the power of the physical body, bombarded repeatedly, and in a blink of an eye, he hit the blue ring poison demon with dozens of sticks. These dozens of sticks made the blue ring poison demon completely collapse, which was horrible. His body was already bloody and fleshy. In this way, facing this blurred flesh and blood, the withered black fire talisman seemed to have found a gap and burned into it. The flame had entered his body and burned him all over. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. The blue ring poison demon screamed again and again, and no longer had the momentum of the past. Wu Yu, spare me, I don't dare, spare me. He begged for mercy miserably and hoarsely. Let me go, I will go out by myself, I don't want to leave the ancient fairy road yet, spare me, Wu Yu, I promise I won't dare to provoke you again in the future. The blue ring poison demon said with a crying voice. If Wu Yu doesn't stop, he can only leave the ancient fairy road, otherwise, he will die. Wu Yu was thinking, if we force him out of the ancient immortal road, there is a certain possibility that he will take revenge on Dongsheng Shenzhou. Anyway, we have already captured him now, so we might as well keep him in the ancient immortal road. Anyway, he will definitely take revenge on me, but this is at least better than him going out to take revenge on Dongsheng Shenzhou. No matter how difficult the things in the ancient immortal road are, Wu Yu can control them, but it is difficult for him to control the things outside. So he made a decision. Get out. Yes, yes, the blue ring poison demon was overjoyed that he didn't have to leave the ancient immortal road. His body was so huge that he could only turn into a human form and escape to the exit. When he was about to leave the exit, he suddenly turned back, gnashed his teeth, and said with an extremely gloomy face, Wu Yu, wait, everything you gave me today, one day, I will double it back. Double it back. Finally, he let out a shrill roar, his eyes were extremely gloomy, and he was about to bleed. He jumped and escaped from the time control tower. After he left, the time control tower closed, and Wu Yu was left alone here again. With the black fire talisman, defeating the blue ring poison demon did not consume much effort, it was simply easy. As for the blue ring poison demon and his friends in this ancient immortal road, Wu Yu did not care much. After all, he already had many opponents, and everyone was in a competitive relationship. For example, Xiao Ili, Wu Yu would have to deal with her sooner or later. Maybe, she didn't think so. After the blue ring poison demon left, Wu Yu ushered in the most important moment. That is to fight the three spirit gods. Then, enter the mysterious door. For this moment, he has waited too long, and today, he finally has a chance to succeed. At this moment, Wu Yu was even a little nervous. After all, who can know what is inside this door? Half an hour later, while he was anxiously waiting, the 9 magic arrays appeared again. Wu Yu did not hesitate at all and went directly to the black magic array. When he chose, the puppets of the other magic arrays sank one after another, leaving Wu Yu and the 3 spirit gods. These 3 spirit gods are exactly the same as last time. Without saying anything, the other party attacked directly. Wu Yu was very familiar with the 3 spirit gods. He clearly remembered that he had fought with the 3 spirit gods for a whole day and night last time. He even had the 3 spirit gods' production array and details in his hand. However, Wu Yu was not going to tangle for so long this time. Last time, he had no other ability, so he could only fight for so long, but this time it was not the case. Law of heaven and earth. With the magic power, he became much bigger than the 3 spirit gods. The 3 spirit gods, at this time, were like a pocket toy in front of him. Violence. Instantly, he had 6 times the physical strength. Compared with this heaven-defying power, the purple mansion Xuanhuan seemed not so important. At this time, his arms were several times thicker. The muscles that bulged, plus the immortal ape transformation, Wu Yu at this time was like a demon in the flesh. I'm afraid that no one in the world can compare with him in terms of physical strength. If everyone in the world lost their purple palace energy, he would become the absolute emperor of the world. Even the ancient emperor Yanhuang and the demon ancestor of swallowing the sky would not be his opponents. In front of him, the 3 spirit generals did look a little thin and pitiful. Without saying a word, Wu Yu stood in front of the 3 spirit generals, performed violent magic, and smashed them on the head with a stick. On the 3 spirit generals, Tens of thousands of magic arrays were running, and the means were changed. With the attacking magic array as the main force, they collided head-on with Wu Yu. Bang! With one stick, the three spirit generals were flattened by Wu Yu, turned into iron mud, and stuck to the floor. From the previous battle of 1 day and 1 night to the current one-stick kill, this is Wu Yu's third magical power, the power of the law of heaven and earth. Compared with the law of clones and fire eyes, it is not weak at all. However, defeating the three spirit generals again is nothing. At this moment, the three spirit generals are destroyed. This is the most important moment for him. His body changed from the largest to the smallest, less than a foot tall, becoming a pocket-sized man, but he arrived in front of the mysterious door at a terrifying speed. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 603. Bang, bang, bang. This is the sound of his nervous heartbeat. It took him very little time to reach this door, so when he stood before, the mysterious door had no sign of opening. In theory, the mysterious door would not let him down. Wu Yu once again surpassed 7 levels to defeat the 3 spiritual gods, and he only needed this mysterious door to open like last time. For this moment, he had been preparing for at least 4 years. In fact, what he was most anxious about before was to improve his realm, but for this moment, he even suppressed his realm, otherwise he would definitely be in the 6th level of the Purple Mansion Kanghai realm. Finally, after much anticipation, every second felt like a year. The mysterious door finally loosened. Wu Yu's small body was now standing sideways in the crack of the door. When it was only opened a little bit, he squeezed in frantically. One arm and one leg had already entered, leaving the head and chest. As long as these two sides squeezed in, the whole person would rush in instantly. The mysterious door was still opening. The crack in the door went from 1 inch to 2 inches. When it was opened to the maximum, Wu Yu actually passed through easily, but he only needed to turn sideways slightly. He entered before the mysterious door opened to the maximum. As soon as he entered, the door opened to the maximum, and then quickly closed. When Wu Yu came to his senses and realized that he had succeeded, the mysterious door behind him had already closed. I finally got in. Wu Yu was ecstatic at first. After all, he had waited too long for this moment, and he was too curious about it. However, he also realized that even in this place, there might not be no danger, so he was still vigilant to observe the surroundings and protect himself at the first time. His fiery eyes quickly scanned everything around him. Everything was in sight. In short, the space inside was actually very small, just a small room. The 6 walls, floor, and ceiling were pure white, like crystal jade, glowing with fluorescence. The jade wall was very pure, without any pattern or mystery. There was only one thing in the small room. In the center of the floor of this small room, a white jade platform rose up. On this white jade platform was the only thing in this mysterious door. Wu Yu's eyes were actually attracted by this thing instantly. This thing was less than 1 foot high and cone-shaped. The diameter of the base circle was between 2 inches and 3 inches. From top to bottom, there were 9 floors in total. All white. This was a familiar tower. What's going on? Isn't this the time control tower? Ming Long asked in confusion. A time control tower appeared in the time control tower? Wu Yu thought about it carefully, and it was indeed the case. This was a smaller version of the time control tower. Except for the size, everything was exactly the same as the time control tower in the Sea of Clouds. The color was pure white, without any flaws, like white jade, simple and pure, with ancient years. Wu Yu stood in front of the small tower. He looked at it carefully with his fiery eyes. Ming Long was suddenly shocked and said, "There is a difference. The time control tower outside looks like a peculiar building in the ancient Immortal Road. It is a part of the ancient Immortal Road and cannot be taken away. But this small tower seems to be a bit like a Taoist weapon. It can be sacrificed and taken away." "What, Wu Yu never thought that this would be a treasure that could be taken away. He thought that this might be the core of the time control tower or something like that, a part of the time control tower." But he looked carefully with his fiery eyes. Although he could not see clearly whether there was a magic array diagram inside the small tower, it gave him the feeling that it was indeed a Taoist weapon, which was different from looking at the time control tower from the outside. It is said that there are endless treasures in the ancient Immortal Road. If I complete the challenge of level 7 and get a Taoist weapon, it is completely possible. And according to the setting of the time control tower, under normal circumstances, I have to complete the level 8 challenge before I can come in, right? While observing carefully, he said, "If it is an ordinary Taoist weapon, can I try to sacrifice it?" Ming Long rolled his eyes and said, "Stupid, how can it be an ordinary Taoist weapon with such restrictions? I think you have definitely picked up a treasure this time. The value of this Taoist weapon is definitely much higher than the ancient crystal stone that is 100 times the size you got before. There is no need to set such restrictions for ordinary Taoist weapons. After all, the value of puppets outside is higher than ordinary Taoist weapons. If I am not mistaken, this is at least a superior Taoist weapon, or even a Holy Spirit Taoist weapon." Wu Yu was stunned and confused, but he was still excited. He asked, "What is a superior Taoist weapon and a heavenly spiritual Taoist weapon?" Ming Long had the time to show off his wisdom, and he immediately became proud and said, "I said you are stupid, but you still don't believe it. You are a country bumpkin who doesn't know anything and doesn't behave well. Others look down on you." "Don't talk nonsense," Wu Yu said. "How dare you talk to your grandma like this?" Ming Long glared. Now that Wu Yu was in a good mood, he didn't want to offend her. He quickly coaxed the girl to behave. Then she slowly explained, "In fact, you also understand that in the world of cultivation, there are magic tools and Taoist tools. Among them, Taoist tools are a qualitative change compared to magic tools. This is the difference between a copied magic array and a real magic array. The magic arrays on Taoist tools are all real magic arrays. Among magic tools, according to their spiritual intelligence, they are divided into ordinary magic tools, spiritual magic tools and super spiritual magic tools. Super spiritual magic tools are close to Taoist tools. And Taoist weapons are also divided into several levels due to the huge differences in magic formations, power, levels, etc. Generally speaking, the more magic circles there are and the more complex they are, the more terrifying the power of Taoist tools is. So generally speaking, there are more than 100,000 magical arrays inside, which are called Shangling Dao weapons. To draw 100,000 magical arrays, even the most powerful people today will spend more than 10 years. Therefore, spiritual Taoist weapons are still quite rare in the world, and each one is extremely powerful. Where is the spiritual weapon that day? Ming Long said, "The heavenly spirit Dao weapon is even more terrifying. You must have more than 500,000 magic arrays to qualify as a basic celestial spirit Dao weapon. To be honest, the heavenly spirit Dao weapon has not existed in the human world since ancient times. Since then, there have been very few people who can refine Tianling Taoist tools. Even if they are about to become immortals, they may not be able to refine Tianling Taoist tools. After all, it will take more than 50 years to spend here, unless someone wants to improve their realm. To refine magic weapons and obtain the way to improve one's realm from the craftsmanship, so the Tianling Taoist tools that exist in the world of Jianfu today are basically handed down by ancient cultivators throughout the ages. 500,000 magic circles is really scary when you think about it. The more magic circles there are, the more difficult it is to balance them. If this small pagoda is a Shangling Taoist weapon, you will make a lot of money. If it is a Tianling Taoist weapon, then your harvest from this trip to the ancient immortal road will probably be compared to that of few people since ancient times. This possibility is not high. After all, the current Tianling Taoist tools are in the hands of those who are expected to become immortals. But no matter what, Wu Yu is probably not an ordinary Taoist weapon. Actually, in addition to the Heavenly Spirit Dao weapon, there is also a category called Holy Spirit Dao weapon. The minimum standard is 1,000,000 magic circle. This kind of Holy Spirit Dao weapon is very rare in the human world, basically none. There is no such thing. How did it appear? At least in my era before Xuanhuan, I didn't know if there was a Holy Spirit weapon in your era. Holy Spirit Taoist instrument, it sounds indeed desirable. Of course, you don't have to be envious. If one day you can use the Ruyi Golden Cudgel, that would be awesome. It is a weapon of the immortal. Even if it is a Holy Spirit Taoist weapon, there is no comparison at all. That is. So Wu Yu wasn't that excited yet. Of course, it is difficult to use the Ruyi Golden Cudgel. If there is a spiritual Dao tool to assist, it will have a great effect. Therefore, he set his sights on this small tower. By the way, if I take this weapon away, how should I leave here? He looked around. There was nothing except a door behind him, and there was no way out. If no one challenges him, can he only get out through the ancient immortal talisman? If you get a valuable treasure, it doesn't matter if you leave the Teku immortal road. Wu Yu thought that he didn't know anything about this small tower now. He also felt that he was not strong enough and might not be able to master this weapon, so he decided to take away the small tower first. Maybe after taking it away, he can return to the mysterious door and have 700 days to study it. He stretched out his hand, preparing to put the small tower into the samurai bag. At this time, he was undoubtedly nervous when he touched the small white tower. The moment he held the small tower, it was as if the whole world suddenly roared, and his spirit and will were instantly pulled into the world inside the tower. There is no way to resist. Boom boom boom. There was a deafening roar all around. Wu Yu stood unsteadily. He experienced a tug and suddenly opened his eyes. What shocked him was that what he saw now was an endless world. All around, there is an endless black starry sky. In this boundless starry sky, a huge thing appeared in front of Wu Yu's eyes. It was a huge river. In the river, the water was rushing, and vast smoke condensed on the river. This smoke was somewhat similar to the clouds and mists on the Sea of Time clouds. This river was circular from top to bottom, turning several times in the starry sky. In the end, it looked like there were 9 rings in total, forming the shape of a tower. This is the river of time and years. The river rushes from top to bottom, turning 9 times downward, forming a white tower. Wu Yu stood in the distance, baffled by these insights. It seems that a lot of things suddenly appear in my mind. He always felt that there was something dormant in the river of time and history, observing and examining himself with a pair of eyes. It was as if there was a giant beast, shuttling and swimming in this huge river of time. Wu Yu, you can't control me, but if you complete the challenge, you are my master. I will give you a small part of the right to use it until the day you have the strength to control me. Suddenly, the giant beast in the river spoke. Heaven-swallowing record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 604. Complete the challenge. Inability to control. Master. A tiny part of the rights. These words roared in Wu Yu's ears. The rotating river of time was flowing endlessly, flowing to an invisible end. At the top of this long river, the source of the river water could not be seen. When Wu Yu digested and understood the sentence, he was naturally ecstatic. The giant beast in the long river of time might be the spirit of this Taoist weapon. Now, I can control ordinary Taoist weapons, but it said that I can't control it. It can only mean that the level of this Taoist weapon is at least Xiangling Taoist weapon. Maybe it will be a 500,000 magic array, heavenly spirit Taoist weapon. Although it is not as precious as the Ruyi Bang, at least it is available to Wu Yu. Moreover, the other party has completed admitting that he is its master, but he feels that his ability is not enough to control it, so he can't dig out the full function of this white tower. It doesn't matter, I can dig it slowly in the future. In this world of endless time, Wu Yu could hardly speak. He felt a little pain in his finger. He looked down and found that it was a beam of light that pierced his finger. A drop of blood flowed out of his finger and flew to the long river of time covered by white mist. Finally, the tiny drop of blood merged into the long river of time. The long river of time suddenly vibrated a few times, and the mist rose. From this moment on, Wu Yu felt that there was a vague connection between himself and this Taoist instrument, which was the kind of connection of sacrifice. Generally speaking, after Wu Yu sacrificed, he would know the Taoist instrument very well. At least how many arrays there were and what the names of the arrays were. However, this small tower was different. Wu Yu didn't even know its name. Under his feeling, this white small tower was hazy and mysterious to him. He could only see a small part of the arrays, about 10,000, but he couldn't understand those arrays, let alone understand them thoroughly. He could only operate them. Indeed, he only had a small part of the privilege of use now. This tower is called Floating Life Tower. The Time Control Tower is just one of its names. Floating Life Tower. Wu Yu remembered all the words that the giant beast said. You can now activate the elementary part of these two functions. When your combat power increases, you will naturally be able to master more. These two functions are time control and puppet guard. In the long river, the ancient voice of the giant beast kept roaring in Wu Yu's ears. When he said that, in the dark, through his connection with the floating life tower, Wu Yu's mind suddenly had some more information. These were the two ways to use the floating life tower that the giant beast said. First, time control. I will control this floating life tower. No matter when I enter it, the time flow rate inside this floating life tower is twice that of the outside. It is the same as some ancient time towers. However, as my strength and combat power increase, the time flow rate will definitely increase. When I really control it in the future, it may change by dozens of times. In the past, although the time flow rate of the time control tower reached 70 times, it was a one-time thing and was not controlled by Wu Yu. It's not easy to get, and after leaving the ancient immortal road, it's impossible to have it again. Although it's only twice now. But this is what Wu Yu can take out of the ancient immortal road, and it can accompany him for a lifetime. Think about it, even if it's only twice, it's terrifying. This means that within the lifespan, he has twice as much time as others. Even if everyone's lifespan is about the same, it will consume lifespan in the tower, but Wu Yu actually still needs this time to catch up with others. Because he has got many treasures now, but he is too weak and needs a lot of time to grow stronger. The key is that the time control tower has shown a speed of 70 or 80 times. Who says that Wu Yu will not have such a time speed after he really controls it? Who can compare with him at that time? Others will only think that Wu Yu broke through the realm in just 10 days, but it is possible that he spent several years. When he was young, Wu Yu was naturally excited to get the most needed floating life tower. There is no doubt that this is the first treasure he has besides the Ruyi Jingbang. In the past, he had never obtained a Taoist weapon of this level. And the second effect is also amazing. Controlling time is already powerful enough, even though it is only twice. There are so many puppets like this in this floating life tower. Emperor Yu has been here, and there are probably puppets that are 8 times stronger than him. The reason why it is called the floating life tower instead of the time control tower is because this tower not only controls time, but also can repair puppets. In fact, Wu Yu defeated the three-spirit god general twice, but there was only one three-spirit god general. In this floating life tower, there is only one puppet of any kind. When the three-spirit god general was broken by Wu Yu and recovered by the floating life tower, the magic array inside the floating life tower would operate and restore it in a magical way. If the degree of destruction was very high, it would take more time to recover. In other words, the floating life tower actually has the ability to refine puppets. The various magic arrays operate together. Of course, only puppets that are originally in the floating life tower can do this. Wu Yu didn't know how many puppets there were in the floating life tower now. However, he knew very clearly that there were 18 in total weaker than the three spirit god generals, including the three spirit god generals. He could control all of these 18, including the three spirit god generals. You can release the floating tower and give it orders, such as attacking, guarding, or even other more complex instructions. Leopard God General, Tianyan Guards, etc. are among them. Of course, the weakest one is only equivalent to the Jindan Dao realm and is of no use to Wu Yu. There is only one of each of these puppets, and each one corresponds to a realm. The Leopard God will correspond to the first level of the Soul Transformation realm, and the three Spirit Gods will correspond to the second level. I can send these puppets to the floating life tower. If they are defeated or destroyed, I only need to look back at the remaining materials. In a few days or 10 days, the floating life tower will restore the puppet guards. This means that these puppets will have immortality. Moreover, every time I challenge and defeat a new puppet, such as the puppet in the white magic circle, all the puppets that are weaker than that puppet, including the puppet itself, can be controlled by me. It is precisely because I defeated the three spirit god general, so you can now control 18 puppets. If I were stronger, the number of puppets I could control would only increase. However, when challenging puppets, you cannot use talismans and other means that are not part of your own strength. In other words, if I had used the forbidden black fire talisman to deal with the three spirit god generals before, the mysterious door might not have opened. He might also be kicked out. Fortunately, it was used on the blue ring poison demon. This means that I almost have the strongest helper that I can defeat, and he is completely devoted to me, and he is even immortal. This is simply more effective than a body. This floating tower is really too strong. Whether it's time control or puppet protection, it's a treasure that everyone in the entire Jambu world is flocking to. Of course, in the hands of a stronger person, the floating life tower will be even more useful. Wu Yu, I am an ancient divine object. Please take good care of it and use it properly. When the day comes when you can truly master this tower, I will come out and see you again. Before that, don't disturb me. Otherwise I will leave you. Yes, the junior will not disturb the senior, Wu Yu quickly responded, such a good thing must not be allowed to fly away. Senior, what kind of realm can I achieve to? Before he finished speaking, Wu Yu was forced out of that world and returned to the small room. He could only keep his mouth shut. Of course he knew that after coming out, it would not be easy to have a good conversation with the giant beast in the river of time. But it doesn't matter, let everything take its course. Anyway, these two effects are insignificant now, he said, but Wu Yu also feels that he has earned it. He didn't expect that he could obtain such a valuable treasure here. At least he knows that all the other people who have entered the Teku Immortal Road have not gained as much as him so far. Looking down, he pricked his finger on the spire of the floating life tower. His blood dripped on the spire and was absorbed by the small white jade-like tower. Wu Yu held the floating tower in his palm, and the array he could control was limited. For example, there was no way to enlarge or reduce it. He could only do two things, either enter the tower or release the puppet. Of course, you can also enter to challenge the puppets. What? What the hell is this? When Wu Yu came back to his senses, Ming Long asked impatiently. Wu Yu told Ming Long what happened inside. Minglong was shocked and said, "You are so good at showing off? That must be awesome. Maybe it really is a Tianling Taoist artifact. Now you have found a treasure. It is normal to say that Teku Immortal Road can change time. But the same Taoist weapon can change time, which is really unparalleled. It probably has never happened in history. It is unique in the entire Yanfa world. It makes no sense. How can you be so good? Luck. How could I not have such luck when I was as talented and beautiful as a flower? It's so irritating. Does God only care about an ugly monster like you? Wu Yu didn't bother to care about her. She was jealous of him, absolutely. When he held the floating tower, the surrounding scenery seemed to disappear. Suddenly, clouds and mist poured in, and the small room and the time control tower outside disappeared, or in other words, they converged into Wu Yu's place. Among the floating towers, the previous time control tower was originally part of the floating tower. He appeared in the sea of time clouds, holding the floating tower in his hand. It would be great if I could change the size at will. Once I encounter danger, I can make this floating tower as small as possible and hide in it. Ordinary people can't destroy this weapon. As for if I hide in now, so obviously, others can easily take away the tower, and then I won't be able to get out. Therefore, hiding is not an option. Without time and puppets, Wu Yu could not do anything else. Now, he wanted to go inside and see if it was any different from the time control tower he entered before. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 605. At least go in now and have twice as much time. I should have entered the mysterious door later. Then I should have been able to hang out for a few more years. Don't even think about it being 70 or 80 times longer now. It is impossible to have such time on your own. After all, Fusion Tower already regards itself as the main one. However, it is better to get such a treasure as early as possible to feel more at ease. Go inside first and break through to the 6th level of Zifukanghai realm before we talk. In the past few years of refining alchemy and drawing magic circles, his level has long been improved. There are still some Kanghai Yuankai pills on him, and he has refined a lot of them in the past few years, which is probably enough for him to break through to the 6th level of the Zifukanghai realm. However, if he wants to improve the clone, the remaining Kanghai Yuankai pill is probably not enough. After the battle between ghosts and gods in the East China Sea, he may be poor again. Cultivation resources are indeed crucial. In the past, not many people could spot such a big time control tower outside. My floating life tower is less than 1 foot, so it should be even harder to spot. So he felt quite relieved to go inside. At least for him now, it was absolutely safe inside. With the thought, he let the floating tower in his hand be sucked in. After arriving inside, I looked up and saw that the space inside the floating life tower was exactly the same as the previous time control tower. The only difference is that the mysterious door in the tower of time control does not exist in the tower of floating life. After all, Wu Yu has completed the test and obtained the floating life tower. Other than that, everything was as usual, and he didn't know the purpose of any of the patterns or reliefs in the fusion tower. Inside, in addition to time traveling at twice the speed, he can also choose to challenge the puppet. He first summoned all 18 puppets. Suddenly, 18 colorful magic circles appeared on the ground, and a total of 18 puppets came out of them. They are all controlled by Wu Yu, and they will do whatever Wu Yu tells them to do. Among them, the ones that are of greater use to Wu Yu are naturally the 3 spirit god generals and then the leopard god general. As for the others, they probably won't be of much help to him in battle. You can do some errands. Wu Yu let them stay as they pleased. He wanted to take advantage of this period of time to advance to the 6th level of Zifukanghai realm. This is not difficult for him. After all, it has reached the point where he has to suppress it before. He only needs to take the Kanghai Yuan Kai pill. After reaching a sufficient amount, the realm will naturally reach the 6th level of the Zifu Kanghai realm, Zifu Yuan Kai Dan. Strength and Zifu Yuan Huo have been greatly improved, even approaching the 7th level of Zifu Kanghai realm. It is estimated that it will not take long to reach the 7th level of Zifu Kanghai realm. After all, this is the result of nearly 4 years of work ahead of him. In the Tower of Time Control, it has been 1,300 days since I improved my level. This realm is still far behind compared to Emperor Yu's. That emperor is not much older than me, but he has reached the 6th level of Yuan Shen transformation realm, which is much higher than me. In terms of realm, I am still very young. Behind. This has something to do with the pursuit of the highest quality in the great celestial arts. Fortunately, he also cultivated the indestructible body of Vajra, and with the assistance of the 3 great magical powers, he had 72 changes, so that he could compete with the existence of the Yuan Shen realm. Fortunately, with the Fusion Tower, the time will definitely be reduced a lot in the future. After all, he had only been in the Sea of Clouds for about a month. Next, attack the 7th level of Zifu Kanghai realm. He released all the clones and let them absorb the Kanghai Yuan Kai pill. After all, Wu Yu's improvement also raised their upper limit. However, even though he had used up all the Kanghai Yuan Kai pills in his body, most of his clones still had not been promoted to the highest level. He is in urgent need of a large amount of elixirs now, and there will be a large shortage of them in the future. I have no choice but to rob other people's things. Now that I have some capital, I can rob other people's things. Wu Yu smiled when he thought of Zhang Kaijun, Xiao Yili, and others. Especially Xiao Yili, the ancient Shui Yuan crystal stone is still on her body. Now she may not be weaker than her, but it is almost the time to get back what belongs to her. No matter what, we still have to reach the realm of soul transformation as soon as possible. Only in this way can we have a second clone, a clone like the heaven-swallowing demon ancestor. According to Ming Long, this is even more precious than the floating life tower. He now has the ultimate desire for the state of soul transformation. He was ready to leave the Fusion Tower and go out to look for opportunities. After all, just practicing hard would not work. But before leaving, he had to do one very important thing. Now that his Zifu Yuan power has increased significantly, it should be easy to defeat the 3 spirit god generals, and he is already qualified to challenge the puppet after the 3 spirit god generals. The last time I saw this puppet, it was still in the white magic circle. This time Wu Yu challenged it, it arrived at the black magic circle, and the 3 spirit gods descended to the purple magic circle. It is very simple for Wu Yu to challenge the puppet guard. He can only make a thought here. After all, he can only perform 2 operations. With a thought, the 18 colorful magic circles sank with the 3 spiritual generals and other puppets, and 9 single-color magic circles rose up. Wu Yu still chose the direction of the black magic circle and crossed the 7-level challenge. When he chose the black magic circle, the other magic circles were silent with their puppets. After the black magic circle flashed, it suddenly disappeared, and a brand new puppet appeared in front of Wu Yu's eyes. This puppet is very tall. Although it is in human form, it is 3 feet tall. It is almost the same as Wu Yu when he reached his greatest transformation. His body is slender, strong, and blood red. The most obvious feature of his body is that although it is in human form, it has the head of an eagle with sharp pecs. Behind its back, there are a pair of the majestic wings are 7 feet long when unfolded, strong and powerful. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. The human-shaped eagle beast has sharp eyes and fast speed, which is quite terrifying. This puppet is full of treasures, made of more than 10 kinds of materials, each of which has 7 spiritual lines. There are a total of 53,817 magic arrays on it, the main array of which is the Red Blood Thunder array. Under the main formation, There are many top attack formations, the three most important of which are called, Soul Chasing Blood Shadow Electric Formation, Blood Sea Roaring Extinction Thunder Formation, and Soul Dispersing Killing Electric Formation. It can be seen from this that what this puppet is good at is the power of the Thunder Circle. Hence his name, Blood and Lightning God General. This information was all made known to Wu Yu by Fusion Tower. When Wu Yu chose to challenge the Blood and Lightning General, this information appeared in his mind. At this time, the Blood Electricity God General had tens of thousands of blood-colored electric threads wandering around his steel body. His arms, thighs, chest, and abdomen, wings, and even sharp claws were all wrapped with blood-colored thunder. This puppet gave Wu Yu the biggest feeling that it was sharp, rough, and fast. He and the three spirit god generals are indeed superior to each other. I have to defeat it before I can control it. With the Blood and Lightning Divine General, I almost have a helper who is at the third level of the soul transformation realm, and he is also a loyal and immortal helper. He may not be as flexible or as versatile as a cultivator of the same realm, but when it comes to assisting in combat, it's pretty good. In order to own it, you must defeat it. As he gets stronger in the future, he will be able to control more puppet guards. As soon as the Blood Electricity God General appeared, ferocious blood-colored thunder exploded from his body. The human-shaped eagle let out an earth-shattering scream that pierced the eardrums, and without any courtesy, he attacked Wu Yu directly. Buzz! When it was flying in the Fusion Tower, the entire inside of the Fusion Tower was covered by the ferocious bloody thunder. The bloody thunder hit his body. Even if Wu Yu had the indestructible body of the Dragon King Buddha, it would be difficult for him to do so. Bear! Don't be careless when fighting him. Wu Yu's three great magical powers come out at the same time. All around, clones were on standby, first using the Central Heavenly Emperor's divine art, and then using the 10,000 Emperor's melting furnace divine art. Countless blows struck the Blood and Lightning Divine General. The real fire of the sun is already accumulating in his eyes. Yes, there is also a sun on the top of the Fusion Tower. Moreover, this may have nothing to do with the real Sunday. This is the sun of the Fusion Tower. No matter where Wu Yu arrives, the sun in this floating tower will exist. Perhaps, this sun is also one of the secrets of the Fusion Tower. Floating life refers to a person's life. The Tower of Life may be a collection of someone's life's creations, such as controlling time, such as puppets, or the sun. This is Wu Yu's guess. He doesn't know whether it is right or wrong. The lawless clone and the fiery eyes have been used. The laws of heaven and earth. Wu Yuji's body has become as tall as the Blood and Lightning Divine General. Even though Wu Yu is slower, but with the magic of magic, he is actually not slower than others, but the Blood and Lightning Divine General is faster than when he became the largest. A streak of bloody thunder roared around, making it difficult to hit. The Blood and Electricity God General used the soul-chasing blood shadow film array. For a moment, there were blood-colored thunder shadows all around, but their true position could not be seen. There were many lightnings gathered on the Blood and Electricity God General, and they were circling around Wu Yu. The more it spins, the greater the power of the gathered thunder, and it chases the soul, with heavy blood shadows, and there is no way to dodge. However, Wu Yu's fiery eyes cannot be concealed. No matter how fast the opponent is or how many phantoms there are, they can't escape his eyes. The most important thing about this magic circle is the illusion caused by the speed, but this illusion is useless to Wu Yu. When the Blood and Lightning God General gathered many thunderbolts and struck Wu Yu with a killing blow in the hallucination, Wu Yu had actually known his position for a long time. When it roared towards him, Wu Yu turned around in an instant, with the sun in his eyes. Shoot out the scorching sun's rays and collide fiercely with the Blood and Lightning God. Boom! The Blood and Lightning God General was blown away by him. Wu Yu seized this opportunity and chased after him. With a violent blow, he flattened the Blood and Lightning God General. Of course, This combination is Wu Yu's most tyrannical method now, especially the magic of heaven, elephant, earth, and violence. No matter what it is, it will be flattened with one hit. Of course the blood and lightning god general couldn't hold on. Therefore, Wu Yu defeated. Of course, Wu Yu actually knew that this blood and electricity god general had two other methods, which were more terrifying than the soul-chasing blood film array, especially the last one. It was a pity that he had no chance to use it against Wu Yu. Wu Yu was fast, it solved it directly. However, such means can be given to the enemy. Fourth update completed. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 606. Now that his realm has reached the 6th level of the Purple Mansion Kanghai realm, and with the assistance of the Blood Lightning God General, his combat power has reached the middle level of the ancient immortal road, and he will no longer be at the mercy of others. However, Wu Yu is clear about one thing. Emperor Yu, I guess he has never seen the Blood Lightning God. After all, when he came in, the Blood Lightning God was a low-end puppet for his realm. Besides that, only the Blue Ring Poison Demon challenged the Time Control Tower. I didn't let him leave the ancient immortal road and let him escape from the Time Control Tower. However, he seemed to challenge the three spirit gods, not the Blood Lightning God. So, he probably couldn't see the Blood Lightning God clearly at that time. But he and Emperor Yu both know about the mysterious gate. If I manipulate this puppet in public, they might guess the secret of the mysterious gate that I cracked. The Blue Ring Poison Demon must hate me to the bone. If he spreads the news everywhere, I will be in trouble. As for Emperor Yu, his desire for the secret of the mysterious gate must be no less than mine. Finally, Wu Yu came to the conclusion that even if there are puppet guards, don't expose it for the time being, and rely on yourself first. After all, he came from Dongsheng Shenzhou. Compared with other geniuses in the world of Yanfu, he had no power and was at the mercy of others. Now was not the time to be arrogant and selfless. However, he could not stay in the floating life tower all the time, lest the floating life tower be discovered. Moreover, he had several clones outside. Once he entered the floating life tower, he basically could not sense their existence. When he could not control it, the clone was basically the same as dead. One of the clones had the original tail talisman of Emperor Yu in his hand. I have entered this door and obtained the floating life tower, but people are still staying in the sea of time and cloud. Is there any other secret here? He had a clone, so he had an advantage in the sea of time and cloud. So, after dealing with the blood and electricity god, Wu Yu walked out of the floating life tower. In a blink of an eye, he appeared in the clouds. The first action after coming out was, of course, to quickly put the floating life tower into the Sumuru bag. Look at you, like a miser, Ming Long said contemptuously. I think you are jealous and envious, Wu Yu smiled. Stop talking nonsense, what are your plans? Wu Yu was about to say that he was just going to find out the situation and take a walk. Suddenly, within a few breaths after he came out, the entire sea of time and cloud suddenly changed. Wu Yu hurriedly asked the remaining clones to gather together. Some had been killed and turned into golden hair. However, it was too late. This sea of time and clouds had the same changes as the last time in the sea. Everywhere was instantly in chaos, the clouds and mist turned into turbulence, and even the whole world collapsed and fell into chaos. And Wu Yu was like a mortal being caught in the whirlpool of the flood, and he was powerless to resist. Not only him, but under the changes of the ancient immortal road, young geniuses found it difficult to control themselves. Maybe it was the level of Emperor Li, who was actually not much different. Why are you going somewhere else suddenly? Could it be related to my mastery of the floating life tower? Whether it was so, Wu Yu didn't know. What he is curious about now is that they have gone through so many hardships from the stars, the vast sea to the sea of clouds, so what will be the next place? There is no rule in the ancient immortal road, anything can happen, even scattering these people to different places is possible, and they can survive. As long as they can bear it and it does not exceed 1 year, they can actually go to many places in the ancient immortal road. Wu Yu was a little nervous about the next place, but he was also looking forward to it. If I can be thrown directly into a place full of treasures and there is no test, it would be great, Wu Yu thought. This is not a fantasy. There are still many people in history who are so lucky. Even this time, after all, there are many people coming, who knows if others will run to other places. Wu Yu is now where the biggest group of opponents is. In this turbulent flow of clouds and mist, he was staggering here and there. He could vaguely hear other people swaying in the turbulence and shouting in surprise. The sound was very noisy. Originally, there were some white clouds in front of him, but then there was a huge change. It seemed that he was really trapped in the vortex of the deep sea. However, he soon seemed to come out of the vortex again. At this moment, Wu Yu felt a sense of weightlessness. He got out of the vortex, but was falling. With his fiery eyes, he suddenly swept around. He was indeed falling down. Above his head, there were dense, neatly arranged white clouds covering the entire sky and earth. And about 500 feet below him, there was an endless, lush green grassland. Between heaven and earth, the sky was white clouds, and the land was green grass. Apart from this, there seemed to be nothing else. There was only 500 feet between the white clouds and the grassland. Ordinary white clouds would not be so short. With Wu Yu's speed, at the fastest speed, he could rush from the ground to the white clouds above in the blink of an eye. Could this white cloud above our head be the time sea of clouds we went through before? In the past, when we dived into the time sea of clouds, we always returned to the top. Could it be that we really fell down this time? This is what Wu Yu guessed. He felt that the clouds above his head were similar to the previous ones. Now he finally arrived under the white clouds. However, it was too spacious under the white clouds. He could see everything around him at a glance. He quickly stabilized his falling trend and went up, wanting to dive back into the white clouds. But this time, it was as if he had bumped into a mirror. He was blocked below and his head was dizzy. However, he was unable to get in. There was already a transparent but insurmountable gap between him and the white clouds above his head. This chapter is not finished yet, please click on the next page to continue reading the exciting content. There are many people who think the same as Wu Yu. They still like to be among the hidden white clouds, so they run back after appearing here. The result is the same as Wu Yu's, they all hit the white clouds but failed to penetrate. There are many very strong ones among them. Obviously, if you come down from the white clouds to this world that is only 500 feet high and can be seen at a glance, Taku Immortal Road has no intention of letting you go back. Don't do it in vain. Ming Long curled his lips and said. Wu Yu stopped hitting and looked around. There were more than 200 people around him. Basically, everyone who was still in the sea of time clouds had arrived here. Moreover, no one can hide themselves anymore. Everyone is still very close to each other, and it is clear who is around. For example, Wu Yu can easily see the faces of Emperor Yu, Blue Ring Poison Demon, Zhang Kaijun, and Xiao Yili. Location. It's just that not many people pay attention to him. This is not a good place. In such a clear place, the advantages of my clone have completely disappeared. Underfoot is a flat, endless grassland. Everyone here is very clear, and it is easy to find someone. Everyone is exposed to the eyes of others. Just like this, a chilling air has spread on this grassland and under the blue sky. It was only 500 feet, so it actually couldn't fly high. It would be easier to fall on the grassland. The geniuses who had not been down to earth for a long time went to the grassland one after another. Maybe everyone didn't expect that they were collecting the magic circle of the machine beast, and they didn't expect to suddenly come here. During the period when everyone was stunned, Wu Yu retrieved all the clones. He put the original talisman of Emperor Yu into the Fusion Tower. It was a place with absolute isolation and sealing. I believe Emperor Yu relied on this. It's not easy for Ben Tailfu to find him. Soon, everyone was talking while falling to the ground. Where is this? I don't know, it looks very peaceful and safe. It's all green grass. The more such a place is, the more dangerous it is. Yes, for example, before everyone hid themselves and there was no head-on confrontation. Now everyone is exposed to the sight of others. If there is a conflict, it will definitely be a direct conflict and it will be clear at a glance. While they were talking, the people they wanted to know gathered together, probably forming an offensive and defensive alliance. Everyone was paying attention to their surroundings at this time, but no one noticed Wu Yu. Wu Yu only knew that someone behind him seemed to have glanced at him. Looking back, the only person he knew was Emperor Yu in that direction, but he was leading people from the Yanhuang ancient kingdom to gather together, and it seemed that he was not looking at him. What are you paying attention to me for? Just when Wu Yu had this question, he suddenly heard someone say. There seems to be a rocky path down there, leading to the distance. Is this pointing the way for us? Wu Yu quickly looked around, and sure enough he saw a bluestone path on this vast and lush grassland. The position under everyone's feet was the starting point of the bluestone path. The bluestone path extended to the east, and was infinitely long. When it arrived, the fiery red sun was rising in the east, penetrating the clouds and shining on the earth. The bluestone path seemed to lead to the sun. This sun will rise, but the sun on the sea of clouds will not move. This is strange. After seeing the bluestone path, everyone was excited. They thought it was a guide to the Taku Immortal Road, and for a while, everyone headed there. Some people are anxious and fast. Among them, the strongest group of people, such as the Emperor, must be at the front. Wu Yu's speed was indeed not weaker than theirs, especially with the heavenly, elephant, earth, and divine movement skills. The problem was that he couldn't be too high profile, so even though he could catch up to the front, he still restrained himself and stayed at the back of the team. What can you find along this bluestone path? This is obviously what everyone is most curious about and longs for. This grassland looks safe and peaceful, which makes people less alert than before. However, Wu Yu felt that this place was at least scarier than the previous 3 places. This was an intuition. Heaven-swallowing record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 607. Now that his realm has reached the 6th level of the Purple Mansion Kanghai realm, and with the assistance of the Blood Lightning God General, his combat power has reached the middle level of the ancient Immortal Road, and he will no longer be at the mercy of others. However, Wu Yu is clear about one thing. Emperor Yu, I guess he has never seen the Blood Lightning God. After all, when he came in, the Blood Lightning God was a low-end puppet for his realm. Besides that, only the Blue Ring Poison Demon challenged the Time Control Tower. I didn't let him leave the ancient Immortal Road and let him escape from the Time Control Tower. However, he seemed to challenge the 3 spirit gods, not the Blood Lightning God. So, he probably couldn't see the Blood Lightning God clearly at that time. But he and Emperor Yu both know about the mysterious gate. If I manipulate this puppet in public, they might guess the secret of the mysterious gate that I cracked. The Blue Ring Poison Demon must hate me to the bone. If he spreads the news everywhere, I will be in trouble. As for Emperor Yu, his desire for the secret of the mysterious gate must be no less than mine. Finally, Wu Yu came to the conclusion that even if there are puppet guards, don't expose it for the time being, and rely on yourself first. After all, he came from Dongsheng Shenzhou, and compared with the other geniuses in the world of Yanfu, he had no power and was at the mercy of others. I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. Now is not the time to be arrogant and selfless. However, he cannot stay in the floating life tower all the time, so as to avoid the floating life tower being discovered. Moreover, he has several clones outside. Once he enters the floating life tower, he basically cannot sense their existence. When he cannot control it, the clone is basically the same as dead. One of the clones has the original tail of Emperor Yu in his hand. I have entered this door and obtained the floating life tower, but people are still staying in the sea of time and clouds. Is there any other secret here? He has a clone, so he has an advantage in the sea of time and clouds. So, after dealing with the blood and electricity god, Wu Yu walked out of the floating life tower. In a blink of an eye, he appeared in the clouds. The first thing he did after coming out was, of course, to quickly put the floating life tower into the sumuru bag. Look at you, you're like a miser, Ming Long said contemptuously. I think you're jealous and envious, Wu Yu smiled. Stop talking nonsense, what are your plans? Wu Yu was about to say that he was just going to find out the situation and take a walk. Suddenly, within a few breaths after he came out, the entire sea of time and clouds suddenly changed. Wu Yu hurriedly asked the remaining clones to gather together. Some had been killed and turned into golden hair. However, it was too late. This sea of time and clouds produced the same changes as the last time in the Kanghai. Everything was instantly in chaos, the clouds and fog turned into turbulence, and even the whole world collapsed and fell into chaos. Wu Yu was like a mortal being caught in a whirlpool of flood, unable to resist. Not only him, but also young geniuses found it difficult to control themselves under the changes of the ancient immortal road. Perhaps it was the level of Emperor Li, who was not much different. Why do you suddenly have to go somewhere else? Could it be related to my mastery of the floating life tower? Whether it was so or not, Wu Yu didn't know. What he was curious about now was that they had gone from the stars, the sea to the sea of clouds, and after several twists and turns, what would be the next place? There was no rule in the ancient immortal road. Anything could happen, and it was even possible to scatter these people to different places. As long as they could survive, as long as they could bear it, as long as it didn't take more than a year, they could actually travel to many places in the ancient immortal road. Wu Yu was a little nervous about the next place, but he was also looking forward to it. It would be great if I could be thrown directly into a place full of treasures without any tests, Wu Yu thought. This was not a fantasy. There were many people in history who were so lucky. Even this time, there are many people coming. Who knows if others will run to other places? Wu Yu is now where the biggest group of opponents is. In this turbulent flow of clouds and mist, he can faintly hear the screams of others swinging in the turbulence. The sound is very noisy. Originally, there were some white clouds in front of him, but the changes were huge. It seemed that he really fell into the whirlpool of the deep sea. However, he soon seemed to come out of the whirlpool again. At this moment, Wu Yu felt a sense of weightlessness. He left the whirlpool, but was falling. Fire eyes and golden pupils suddenly swept around. He was indeed falling down. Above his head, there were dense and neatly arranged white clouds covering the entire sky and earth. And below him, at a height of about 500 feet, there was an endless, lush green grassland. Between heaven and earth, there were white clouds in the sky and green grass on the ground. In addition, there seemed to be nothing else. There is only 500 feet between the white cloud and the grassland. Ordinary white clouds are not that short. With Wu Yu's speed, if he is the fastest, he can rush from the ground to the white cloud above in the blink of an eye. Could this white cloud above our head be the time cloud sea we used to go through? In the past, when we dived down in the time cloud sea, we could always return to the top. Could it be that we really fell down this time? Wu Yu guessed this way. He felt that the clouds above his head were similar to the previous ones. Now he finally arrived under the white cloud. However, it was so empty under the white clouds that he could see everything around him at a glance. He quickly stabilized his descent and went up, hoping to plunge into the white clouds again. But this time, it was as if he had bumped into a mirror. He was blocked below and his head was dizzy. However, he could not get in. There was already a transparent but insurmountable gap between him and the white clouds above his head. There are many people who think the same as Wu Yu. They still like to be among the hidden white clouds, so they run back after appearing here. The result is the same as Wu Yu's, they all hit the white clouds but failed to penetrate. There are many very strong ones among them. Obviously, if you come down from the white clouds to this world that is only 500 feet high and can be seen at a glance, Taku Immortal Road has no intention of letting you go back. Don't do it in vain. Ming Long curled his lips and said. Wu Yu stopped hitting and looked around. There were more than 200 people around him. Basically, everyone who was still in the sea of time clouds had arrived here. Moreover, no one can hide themselves anymore. Everyone is still very close to each other, and it is clear who is around. For example, Wu Yu can easily see the faces of Emperor Yu, Blue Ring Poison Demon, Zhang Kaijun, and Xiao Yili. Location. It's just that not many people pay attention to him. This is not a good place. In such a clear place, the advantages of my clone have completely disappeared. Underfoot is a flat, endless grassland. Everyone here is very clear, and it is easy to find someone. Everyone is exposed to the eyes of others. Just like this, a chilling air has spread on this grassland and under the blue sky. It was only 500 feet, so it actually couldn't fly high. It would be easier to fall on the grassland. The geniuses who had not been down to earth for a long time went to the grassland one after another. Maybe everyone didn't expect that they were collecting the magic circle of the machine beast, and they didn't expect to suddenly come here. During the period when everyone was stunned, Wu Yu retrieved all the clones. He put the original talisman of Emperor Yu into the fusion tower. It was a place with absolute isolation and sealing. I believe Emperor Yu relied on this. It's not easy for Ben Tailfu to find him. Soon, everyone was talking while falling to the ground. Where is this? I don't know, it looks very peaceful and safe. It's all green grass. The more such a place is, the more dangerous it is. Yes, for example, before everyone hid themselves and there was no head-on confrontation. Now everyone is exposed to the sight of others. If there is a conflict, it will definitely be a direct conflict and it will be clear at a glance. While they were talking, the people they wanted to know gathered together, probably forming an offensive and defensive alliance. Everyone was paying attention to their surroundings at this time, but no one noticed Wu Yu. Wu Yu only knew that someone behind him seemed to have glanced at him. Looking back, the only person he knew was Emperor Yu in that direction, but he was leading people from the Yanhuang ancient kingdom to gather together, and it seemed that he was not looking at him. What are you paying attention to me for? Just when Wu Yu had this question, he suddenly heard someone say. There seems to be a rocky path down there, leading to the distance. Is this pointing the way for us? Wu Yu quickly looked around, and sure enough he saw a bluestone path on this vast and lush grassland. The position under everyone's feet was the starting point of the bluestone path. The bluestone path extended to the east, and was infinitely long. When it arrived, the fiery red sun was rising in the east, penetrating the clouds and shining on the earth. The bluestone path seemed to lead to the sun. This sun will rise, but the sun on the sea of clouds will not move. This is strange. After seeing the bluestone path, everyone was excited. They thought it was a guide to the Taku Immortal Road, and for a while, everyone headed there. Some people are anxious and hurry up. Among them, the strongest group of people, such as the Emperor, must be at the front. Wu Yu's speed was indeed not weaker than theirs, especially with the heavenly, elephant, earth and divine movement skills. The problem was that he couldn't be too high profile, so even though he could catch up to the front, he still restrained himself and stayed at the back of the team. What can you find along this bluestone path? This is obviously what everyone is most curious about and longs for. This grassland looks safe and peaceful, which makes people less alert than before. However, Wu Yu felt that this place was at least scarier than the previous 3 places. This was an intuition. Heaven-swallowing record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 608. Wu Yu has an indestructible body, and if he doesn't exercise restraint, the difference between him and others can be clearly seen. The pressure, momentum, temperament, etc. will all be extra special. However, through precise control of all aspects of his body, he can adjust himself to feel almost like a clone. Most of what is reflected is the 6th level of Zifu Kanghai Realm's Zifu Yuan power. So he doesn't stand out among the crowd. However, with so many people entering the Teiku Immortal Road, the gap between the strong and the weak is still quite huge. The people in front were all gone, and the people behind were still chasing. Wu Yu was mixed in the crowd and could only watch as Emperor Yu and others disappeared in the blink of an eye. The Yuan Shen incarnations all chased after Emperor Yu and others. Wu Yu was probably after the Yuan Shen transformed into a physical form. He was thinking about whether to take a detour or go somewhere else to avoid missing the treasure. At this moment, the team in front seemed to stop. More and more people piled into the same place, and the people behind quickly caught up there. Wu Yu is getting closer and closer. He has piercing eyes and can see further than others. He can probably tell what is ahead when he looks from a high place. There was a very powerful wave sweeping over there. It was an ordinary place deep in the grassland. Wu Yu vaguely seemed to see a sword inserted there. It was a white and gold long sword, stuck on the ground, very ordinary. But strangely, they did not fight for the sword. Everyone stopped in front of the sword and surrounded the sword. No one seemed to be moving. When Wu Yu got closer, he heard someone say, "There is a great formation of heaven and earth around this Dao weapon. Be sure not to be approached." They said that this great formation of heaven and earth may be very lethal. So that's the case, no wonder there's no direct fight. Wu Yu arrived in a blink of an eye. He was mixed in with the crowd. The crowd surrounded him and was only 200 feet away from the sword. However, even Emperor Yu and others did not get close. After a while, hundreds of people arrived here, scrambling to look at the sword. The people who came later didn't know what was going on and kept asking. Wu Yu was also looking carefully at the sword stuck in the grass. It was white and gold. It looks simple, but in fact it is very holy and noble. The more you look carefully, the more mysterious and profound this weapon is, at least you can see how many magic circles are on it. Looking more closely, the surface of this sword is a bit rough, and it seems to be made of countless particles aggregated together. Emperor Keiru and the others haven't left yet, they are studying this magic circle. Obviously, this may be a spiritual Taoist artifact. It's the spiritual artifact. I heard them say it just now when you guys didn't arrive. It's best for us not to get close. When the top beings like them start fighting for each other, it might affect us. Shangling Dao weapon. As soon as these words came out, almost everyone heard it. For a moment, everyone's expressions changed drastically, and their eyes looking at the platinum sword became completely different. Lust, greed, longing. This is human nature. Cultivation is plundering. If there is a chance to plunder, everyone will want it. Wu Yu is no exception. After all, he can use a sword, and it's not bad at all. I don't know whether the fusion tower is a Shangling Dao weapon or a Tianling Dao weapon. It should be higher than this platinum sword. However, since this platinum sword is a Shangling Dao weapon, it is what the Emperor and the others long for. Things are enough to show the transcendent value. Everyone present, there is no one who doesn't want it. Many people stared blankly at the weapon, and some even couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. It affects, you can't put it this way. If you want to get a genius treasure, you have to rely on luck. If I get it, I will crush the ancient immortal talisman immediately. No matter how strong they are, they can't do anything to me. Someone whispered. No one answered, but this is undoubtedly the unanimous thought of the week. They are not as good as Emperor Yu, who is at the 6th level of the soul transformation realm, so they can only use this method. The ancient immortal talisman is the source of their courage. It's worth offending everyone here for the same spiritual weapon. My father and others don't have such a spiritual weapon. Many people were whispering. What kind of magic circle is it? It actually scared them all, so they didn't dare to go in and fight for it. I don't know. When I first came here, I heard that one of them has a magic circle, but I can't feel it. Isn't it just a trick? Probably not. Many people were discussing secretly. They were a little far away from the platinum sword. At this time, many people had a change in their hearts and kept moving closer to the center. They even wanted to surpass the level of Emperor Raku and the others and rush inside. Don't go in, there is indeed a magic circle here, and you probably can't solve it, Ming Long reminded. Wu Yu nodded. He pushed down the outside, and most of the people were ready to make a move. Ever since they entered the Taku Immortal Road, for them, there has never been a super treasure of this level. For this spiritual artifact, today will definitely be a bloody storm. However, after finally entering this ancient immortal road, instead of wandering around like a headless fly, it is better to fight for this once. If it succeeds, then you can reach the sky in one step. Even if you don't succeed, you still have the ancient immortal talisman, so it's not a loss. Wu Yu pushed outside, and there was still someone's eyes full of desire and madness. At this time, the dozen strongest men closest to the platinum sword could not stop the burning eyes of the other 200 people. If they rushed forward, Le Daizi and the others might not be able to stop them. If anyone goes in and loses his life, don't blame me for not warning you. If this magic circle is fake and not powerful, we would have taken away the upper spiritual weapon long ago. How could you trash take it? One of the young men near Le Daizi said coldly. This sentence scared many people and calmed down some people's burning eyes. Because he was talking about losing his life, not leaving the ancient immortal road. The truly terrifying disaster could directly kill people, and even the ancient immortal talisman could not do anything about it. Suddenly, just as the voice fell, someone actually rushed towards the upper spiritual weapon. Luzikan, Wu Yu heard a familiar scream, which should be from Xiao Ili. She was closer to the Dao weapon, but she had no intention of taking risks. But at this moment, someone beside her was greedy and rushed towards the Shangling Dao weapon. Le Daizi and the others looked at him coldly and did not stop him. Whoosh! The young man named Luzikan had just passed the person in front and had just entered the approximate range of the magic circle. Suddenly, with a buzzing sound, a majestic wind blew over the peaceful grassland, and Luzikan suddenly turned into powder, including his clothes, sumi bag, and all the items on his body, including his Dao weapon, etc., and even the ancient fairy talisman, all turned into smoke and scattered on the grass. Without even a scream, Luzikan was gone. No one thought that he was in danger, crushed the ancient fairy talisman, and left the ancient fairy road. Everyone knew that he paid the price of death for his recklessness. There is nothing wrong with greed and desire, but it is fatally wrong to be without restraint and thinking. This person used his behavior to scare all those who thought like him into a cold sweat. Even Le Daizi and others retreated a long distance after seeing the power of this magic circle. Others retreated in a daze. For a moment, everyone looked at each other and could see the pale faces of others. Le Diza took out a sword and threw it into the range of the magic circle. In an instant, the sword turned into powder and scattered on the grass. You all saw it? Who else wants to fight? Le Diza smiled coldly. Such a test scared everyone again. Ming Long, what kind of magic circle is this? I don't know, after all, it comes from the ancient immortal road. But it is undeniable that it is difficult for you to get this upper spiritual weapon. Don't worry, this upper spiritual weapon will not be taken away so easily. Wu Yu knew it in his heart. At this time, Le Diza and the others were also thinking hard. They were obviously eager for the upper spiritual weapon, but they could keep their composure at this time, which was enough to show how difficult this magic circle was. No one thought that if they got the upper spiritual weapon, they would leave the ancient immortal road. This method would not work. However, they tried to crack the magic circle next. What would the others do? Some people thought that if the magic circle was broken, they might be able to rob it in the chaos. Some people thought that the grassland was so big and the bluestone path had no end, and there might be other treasures, so they wanted to leave. Wu Yu thought about it, and he also felt that he should look deeper into the grassland. Just when he had such an idea, the more than 10 strongest people actually gathered together and discussed with each other. Suddenly, they said, before we crack this magic circle, no one is allowed to leave here, otherwise, we will be blamed for being rude. Among them, they were basically the leaders of various forces. This order directly restricted more than 80% of the people. For example, all the geniuses of the ancient country of Yanhuang can only listen to Emperor Yu. The reason why they don't let people leave is that they are worried that these people will get other treasures when they break the magic circle. This is a spiritual tool. This behavior is undoubtedly overbearing. However, they have strength and power. Just like Emperor Yu, one person controls more than 30 people, including Zhang Kaijun. Not only do they not leave, they don't want others to leave. Everyone stays here. Those who dare to leave can try now. They are so powerful that everyone lowered their heads for a while. Of course, if they want to leave, it's not at this time. Wait until they consume their energy on the magic circle, then there will be a chance. Wu Yu couldn't leave now. Wu Yu, suddenly, Zhang Kaijun stood behind him, and she finally saw him. You actually said that I framed you to get the ancient crystal stone of water source. It can be seen that she is furious. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Heaven Swallowing Record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 609. There is no doubt that Zhang Kaijun's expression at this time was as bad as ever. Obviously, because of Wu Yu's false accusation before entering the time control tower last time, she should have been scolded by Emperor Yu. Of course, she could explain that this matter had nothing to do with her at all. However, as the princess of Jinluan County, she was also a person of high status in the Yanhuang ancient kingdom, but because Wu Yu, an insignificant person from Dongsheng Divine Continent, was personally punished by the emperor, it shows how bad he was feeling. The key is that she knows very well that this is definitely a frame-up. Zhang Kaijun was almost the most arrogant young man Wu Yu had ever seen. This kind of pride was severely beaten by Wu Yu. Now in full view of the public, Emperor Zhu and the others are studying to crack the magic circle. Others are restricted and cannot leave. When Zhang Kaijun called out Wu Yu's name, many people were in a commotion because Wu Yu could hear rumors. Among them, there is one who is weak but possesses 2 huge ancient crystal stones. Although they don't know whether it is true or not, more people are willing to believe it. After all, for someone like Wu Yu, no one seems to have the need to frame him. Faced with Zhang Kaijun's questioning, Wu Yu remained calm. He knew that Xiao Ili, who had actually spread the news that he owned the water source ancient crystal, was nearby and was staring at him in the crowd, but he still could not tell the news about the water source ancient crystal. Reveal it. He insisted firmly and said, in this Teku immortal road, you are the only one who has a grudge against me. You have repeatedly targeted me, and even ignored the warning of the emperor and spread such impossible false news. Apart from you, there are also who. Nowadays, many people are looking at Wu Yu with fiery eyes. More and more people are attracted to him. Naturally, he must clarify. However, it is useless to say so, so most people are still very skeptical. Is there any ancient crystal stone? Just show the bag of Sumuru and let me check it out, someone in the crowd said. Shut up, Zhang Kaijun suddenly shouted angrily. She stepped towards Wu Yu with a cold gaze. Judging from her posture, it was obvious that she wanted to teach Wu Yu a lesson. There were a large number of people in the Yanhuang ancient kingdom, and they were basically all standing behind Zhang Kaijun at this time. It was also true that Zhang Kaijun was so imposing that he dared to ignore everyone else and said, "Don't interfere, this is my and his private matter." Resentment. Someone beside him said, "Princess Xuanhuan, didn't Emperor Ji say that we can't touch him?" Zhang Kaijun gave him a cold look and asked him to hold back his words. Emperor Zi was busy breaking the magic circle at this time and entered a state of concentration, not bothering to pay attention to what was happening outside. Wu Yu, if you have the guts, you have to pay the price for what you said. If you frame me, I will tear your mouth apart. It is only natural. You have no objection, right? Zhang Kaijun's voice was majestic and oppressive. The Yanhuang ancient kingdom has always been domineering. At this time, they surrounded Wu Yu. Although others suspected that Wu Yu really had the ancient crystal stone, they could only watch at this time and did not dare to step forward. Once it comes to competing for ancient crystal stones, they may take action. Now they are all watching a show. This guy from Dongsheng Shenzhou has not only spread the news about the heaven-swallowing demon ancestor, but he is also able to sneak around now. It's really not easy. This also shows that the son has extraordinary means, otherwise he would not be appreciated by Emperor Keiru. Logically speaking, if he obtained the ancient crystal stone from the source of water and Emperor Keiru ignored him, it would be unlikely. Emperor Yu must have preferred the ancient crystal stone to be in his hands, rather than letting us snatch it away. In this case, the ancient crystal stone thing should be fake. Tisk, tisk. Princess Xuanhuan is so angry. This guy named Wu Yu still has some skills. Everyone watched the show with their arms folded. However, this kid will definitely be in trouble if he is surrounded now. Yeah, I don't know if the emperor will be distracted and take care of him. Such an insignificant person is obviously not enough to alarm the emperor before he gets the spiritual Taoist weapon. While people were discussing, Zhang Kaijun had already put the 9 golden circles on her hands. Obviously, she was going to take action. And in full view of everyone. Although everyone thought Wu Yu was pitiful, in fact, he had been waiting for this day for a long time. When Zhang Kaijun came to suppress her forcefully, Wu Yu suddenly smiled and said, "Princess Xuanhuan, the false accusation has been exposed, and she is furious. Do you want to take revenge on me in public? You know you're afraid now," Zhang Kaijun sneered. "Aren't you afraid of being scolded by Emperor Ji again?" Zhang Kaijun glanced at Emperor Yu, who was busy breaking the magic circle while competing with other strong men. It was obvious that he was not paying attention here. She felt a little more at ease. Then she pointed at Wu Yu and said, "You are the only one who is like this, Mr. Yamano. I really think that Prince Keiru values you very much." It seemed that Emperor Yu did not give her any warning, otherwise she would not be so bold at this time. Moreover, Emperor Zi's lack of attention at this time also gave her courage. Having said this, she no longer hesitated and went straight to Wu Yu's side to kill him. Wu Yu retreated violently. The two chased and retreated. How about making a bet? Faced with Zhang Kaijun's oppression, Wu Yu exceeded everyone's expectations and remained calm. He even had the heart to speak at this time. "What qualifications do you have?" Jiang Kaijun sneered, and 9 golden circles were spinning around him. It emits a sharp whistle and bursts out with powerful light. "I will have a fair fight with you. Whoever loses will take the initiative to leave the Taku Immortal Road. If you dare, I won't hide." Wu Yu now relies on his speed to use the divine movement technique to move around on the grass. Zhang Qijun has attacked several times, but all failed. She wasn't afraid that Wu Yu would keep dodging like this, but if he dared to fight her face to face, of course she would be willing. After all, she was also worried about Emperor Yu, so she wanted to capture Wu Yu as soon as possible. Wu Yu's words immediately caused a commotion. Everyone thought they heard wrong. Wu Yu dared to say such words, challenge Zhang Kaijun, and even make a bet. Whoever loses will leave. Not to mention their background, there is still such a big gap in realm between the two. Although I heard that there are many wonderful things about this person, but for most people, this is simply a battle between adults and babies, with no suspense at all. If I lose the battle to you, I won't have the shame to stay here. You don't need to say anything, let alone a bet, Zhang Kaijun said expressionlessly. Then remember to tell your elders about the heaven-swallowing demon ancestor after you leave the Taku Immortal Road. The life and death of the world of Yanfu depends on you, Zhang Kaijun. Wu Yu's words were undoubtedly treasonous and greatly irritated Zhang Kaijun. Before the war started, he actually arranged tasks for Zhang Kaijun after his defeat. In fact, Wu Yu is the most excited person at this moment. He has been suppressed by this person for a long time, and now is the time to avenge him. As for the bet, it was nothing more than a reminder to her to improve the heaven-devouring demon ancestor after she left. And now that there are more people watching, it is always beneficial to be reminded more. Under Wu Yu's words, Zhang Kaijun turned pale with anger. Now he only had one thought in his mind, which was to kill Wu Yu. To kill Wu Yu, he had to use all his strength. At this time, Zhang Kaijun could only save his humiliated face by being fierce and powerful. Jinluan Divine Transformation. The bet was established, and Zhang Kaijun suddenly activated his magical power. On this vast grassland, divine light suddenly shone, and Zhang Kaijun's body erupted with fierce light. This is the inherited magical power of his clan, and it is obviously much more powerful than the Golden Sunflower realm. This magical power makes Zhang Kaijun's body look like it is made of gold. Countless feathers like golden blades cover his body. Behind him, wings made of countless golden feathers stretch out. Zhang Kaijun, who used the Golden Luan Divine Transformation, received a huge improvement in strength, speed, defense, etc. There are few magical powers that can transform and conquer to such an extent. Zhang Kaijun at this time is completely different from before. In front of Wu Yu's eyes, she flew with golden wings and disappeared in a blink of an eye. The weapon Golden Circle on the Shangan gathered in front of his eyes and combined together. Terrifying power gathered in this Golden Circle. Obviously, Zhang Kaijun will use stronger means to completely kill Wu Yu after Jinluan's transformation. Jinluan's divine transformation still shocked many people. In the beginning, Princess Jinluan was named Princess Jinluan because of her magical transformation. As expected of Jing Kui Mansion's top magical power, I'm really envious. You don't know that he also has a killer magical power called the Gate of the Golden Prison of the Universe. That is truly terrifying. Zhang Kaijun is obviously going to use this magical power. I understand, she wants to suck Wu Yu into the golden prison of heaven and earth and seal him there forever. In this way, Wu Yu can't even get out of the ancient immortal road. After all, the gate of the golden prison of heaven and earth has the magical power to create the golden prison of heaven and earth. The prison space is said to be very small and narrow, with nothing in it. It is impossible to get out of it, and you have to endure endless loneliness until it disappears. While people were discussing, Zhang Kaijun had already taken action, but in fact, people didn't notice that Wu Yu was looking at the sun that had just risen in the east. When his opponent completed the Golden Luan divine transformation, Wu Yu's eyes flashed. In it, there was already a blazing fire, and countless true sun fires were condensed in it. The golden light pillars converged on his eyes. What people saw was that his eyes were already burning and shining more than the scorching sun in the sky. Only then did they realize that Wu Yu actually seemed pretty good. However, Zhang Kaijun is undoubtedly more vicious. That's right, after she reached her strongest state with the Golden Luan divine transformation, she then used the gate of the golden prison of the universe. In his hands, 9 golden circles overlapped and expanded, turning into a circular gate, blocking Zhang Kaijun's front. Within the Shangqian golden circle, a golden door slowly opened. Within the gate, a golden and pure space appeared, with countless runes changing in it. When the door opened, the golden space suddenly erupted with a terrifying suction force, and even 9 golden arms stretched out from it. Heaven-swallowing record. Author, Fengqing Yang. Chapter 610. Those 9 golden arms are not thick, but they can be extended infinitely. Looking closer, each arm is actually composed of countless golden feathers. Especially the sharp claws on the palms, sharp and sharp, like the claws of some kind of eagle. The Golden Luan divine transformation and the Qinqin golden prison gate, the 2 magical combinations, were sacrificed together without mercy. The onlookers looked at each other and felt that Zhang Kaijun was trying to make Wu Yu fall into eternal disaster. This kid doesn't know he's just stirred up a hornet's nest. How pitiful. Writing this, I hope readers will remember our domain name Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. Looking at his eyes, it seems that he has some kind of supernatural power, as if he is absorbing the true fire of the sun. As soon as he finished speaking, Wu Yu and Zhang Kaijun faced off head-on. In the gate of Qinqin golden prison, 9 golden arms and amazing swallowing power all exploded, trying to drag Wu Yu into the closed world. Wu Yu did not dodge, but under the swallowing force, he remained firmly in place until the 9 arms roared towards him. At this moment, he exploded in an instant, and the vast sea Tyrannosaurus pillar appeared in his hand. He kicked it on the ground, causing a large area of the grassland to collapse immediately, and he turned into a golden light and rushed towards Zhang Kaijun. Guanri. The power of the sun has continued to this point and has reached its extreme. Facing the sun this time, the power of the sun has reached an unprecedented level. Once it broke out, in his eyes, the golden pillar of fire collided with the golden arm in front of him. Before this, many people did not expect that Wu Yu could even explode with such power. What's even more shocking is that Guanri's explosion was so fierce that it rushed out like a divine dragon, instantly swallowing up the 9 arms, and then exploded, directly blowing the 9 arms into broken golden feathers. This scene simply caused uproar and exclamations. Even Zhang Kaijun's own eyes trembled. The originally fierce eyes now gave rise to a little uncertainty, even uneasiness, because such a situation had never happened before. Wu Yu's eyes at this time made her feel slightly flinched. She didn't expect that Wu Yu's eyes could be so sharp. However, Zhang Kaijun still had the confidence to swallow Wu Yu into the gate of the golden prison of the universe, because Wu Yu was rushing towards her gate of the golden prison of the universe at this time. He rushed towards Zhang Kaijun, looking like he was being swallowed. It's more like looking for death. Zhang Kaijun thinks so too. Buzz, the moment Wu Yu almost rushed into the door of heaven and earth, something incredible happened to everyone. That is, when Wu Yu was close to Zhang Kaijun, he used the 3rd magical power, heaven and earth. In an instant, his body changed incredibly, to nearly 3 feet in height. At this moment, both Zhang Kaijun and the golden prison gate of the universe in his hand were like toys. After all, Zhang Kaijun is only as tall as his calf. From a human, he becomes a giant directly. With the palm of his hand at the moment, he could cover the door of Zhang Kaijun's Qinqin golden prison with just one slap. This door can indeed change even more, but it is obviously too late now, and it cannot swallow Wu Yu at all. And the moment after the change, Wu Yu suddenly hit the golden circle with a stick. Boom! At this moment, he performed violent magic. The strongest and most ferocious stick. Bang! After Guanri broke 9 arms, he used a stick from Fa Tian Xiang Di. Under the terrifying increase of the violent technique, the stick exploded. There was only an explosion, and people suddenly saw that the golden circle on the stem was swept away. And it flew very far, you can even see a little crack. Zhang Kaijun's magical power was naturally completely destroyed. This is the second moment. At this moment, as if a Kanghai realm broke through the third-level killer magical power of the Yuan Shen transformation realm. Almost everyone in the scene did not believe that what they saw was real. Maybe Zhang Kaijun was too, she was absolutely confused. At that moment, Wu Yu saw her shock and confusion. However, the third moment is coming soon. After performing the violent technique, although his muscles were sore, Wu Yu could still kill a few more with 3 times the strength and the powerful Zifu Yuan Li. After blowing away his Taoist weapon, he used another rough blow with the stick, sweeping across and hitting Zhang Kaijun, whose mind was blank. Golden Sunflower Realm, in panic, Zhang Kaijun used his third magical power, and golden sunflowers blocked her body. However, the moment the golden sunflower realm just appeared, Wu Yu's Dingai Shenzhen was drawn in above the golden sunflower realm. When the sound of metal hitting was extremely harsh. Several cracks exploded in Jingkui realm, but it stabilized and was not shattered. However, Wu Yu was acting like a madman at the moment. How could he stop? In a short moment, several sticks were struck in succession, with incomparable violence, all hitting the Jingkui realm. At this time, his body was too huge, and the Jingkui realm was not big for him. With several consecutive sticks, the Jingkui realm was hit. It shattered suddenly, and the pale-faced Zhang Kaijun among them was hit by Wu Yu's Dingai Shenzhen. If Wu Yu hadn't spared his hand, he would have definitely killed him on the spot. Boom! The vast sea Tyrannosaurus pillar was 1 foot thick and pressed on Zhang Kaijun's chest, pinning him to the ground. At this moment, Zhang Kaijun's hair was disheveled. Although she was wearing Taoist armor, she was severely injured by Wu Yu. Under the suppression of Wu Yu's terrifying power, even her Taoist weapon was dim. If it were not for the protection of this Taoist weapon, at this time her body had definitely been shattered by Wu Yu. Even through the Taoist armor, his physical body was severely damaged. It can be seen from his pale and painful face. Wu Yu was like a giant at this time, looking at her condescendingly. This chapter is not over, please click on the next page to continue reading. Compared with the physical pain, it is obvious that the fact that he is defeated by Wu Yu and has no resistance anymore is even more difficult for his spirit to accept. At this moment, although Wu Yu's face is expressionless, it is this expressionless face that makes him unable to resist. This kind of indifference made her tremble even more inside. She still remembered that when she first met Wu Yu, she was too lazy to remember his name and didn't want to take a second look at him. But now, he was suppressed by him, and his life and death were controlled by him, and he was still in full view of the public. This process is so tragic. Therefore, Zhang Kaijun trembled all over, and tears welled up in his eyes. The victory has been decided. No one can always be aloof and despise others. Zhang Kaijun, after you go out, remember to talk about the heaven-swallowing demon ancestor. Wu Yu's voice was calm, he put away his Taoist weapon, and his body returned to normal. However, there were so many people around, but there was still no movement for a long time. Almost everyone was looking at him in astonishment. This was the first time that Wu Yu took action in front of everyone. In front of so many people, he completely displayed his strength. Showed. I didn't expect that one day, these super geniuses from the world of Jambu would really look at me with such eyes. To be honest, Wu Yu still enjoyed it. However, he knew something better. Practice along the way and challenge one peak after another. Today is just a reward for a period of hard work. Don't be proud, otherwise you will have the same solution as Zhang Kaijun. It was precisely because Zhang Kaijun was proud and aloof that it was so difficult for her to accept being defeated in front of so many people, and moreover, the scene was absolutely silent. Even the sound of the breeze can be heard clearly. Wu Yu knew what they were thinking. It was nothing more than doubts and curiosity about him, hypnotizing them to accept this fact. However, for him, this has passed. From now on, what he wants to chase is a higher peak. For him, cultivating the Tao is all about chasing. Zhang Kaijun slowly got up from the grass. She was now in a very embarrassed state, covered in blood and in a mess. She was so different from her previous appearance as Princess Xuanhuan. Then, her trembling eyes met Wu Yu's. The gaze gradually changed, and finally turned into anger and hatred. Sure enough, she still fell into madness. "Who, help me kill him," she turned around and looked at those people from the Yanhuang ancient kingdom. There were still many people in the Yanhuang ancient kingdom who were of the same mind as her, so when she made such a request, many people immediately stood up. After all, Zhang Kaijun was humiliated, and their faces were not bright. "I'll do it. Don't let this kid go." There are at least 7 or 8 people who are all friends of Zhang Kaijun, and all of them are in the form of Yuan Shen. Their eyes were evil. In fact, they were more shocked. They had met Wu Yu before, and they realized that Wu Yu seemed to be moving faster than expected during this period. It seems that everything has improved in terms of realm. Just when everyone thought Wu Yu was in danger, a voice finally came from not far away from the spiritual weapon. "That's enough, don't be embarrassed. Jinluan, according to the bet, remember to ask your father to find out about the demon ancestor Tun Tian after you go out." This is the voice of Emperor Yu, and there is no doubt about it. Hearing this, Zhang Kaijun's face turned pale to a new level. Others who were about to vent their anger on her could only be embarrassed and unable to take action at this time. Wu Yu is a member of our Yanhuang ancient kingdom, and he is a future talent. Don't push your own people aside. Emperor Yu said another sentence. However, he was still focusing on the magic circle, and in fact, he probably knew what was happening here. Emperor Zi is the absolute leader here. He has spoken to this extent, and there is no room for negotiation. Zhang Kaijun still has the last bit of sense. She knows that if she continues to act recklessly now, she will be too ignorant. Yes, Emperor's son. She lowered her head and took one last look at her friends around her. The eyes of everyone were helpless, angry, and regretful. Zhang Kaijun nodded to them, and they also nodded. In fact, everyone understood what this process meant. If given the chance, they would avenge Zhang Kaijun. Zhang Kaijun gave Wu Yu one last cold look, bit his red lips, crushed the ancient immortal talisman, and left. It's over. Some people cheered for Wu Yu. Wu Yu knew that someone was looking at him with twinkling eyes. It was Xiao Yili, and he was somewhere behind Wu Yu. Perhaps, Wu Yu's strength scared her. Wu Yu's purpose of not revealing the ancient water source crystal stone is probably clear to her.